scribble stuff down so I can forget where I put the paper. But looks like you've got to figure it out.
Folks, Wednesday night, Baptist Ministry, Baptist Church,
Walnut Creek.
Walnut Creek Bible Study. We're in Proverbs chapter 7, verse 1. There we are.
Rock and roll.
Oh, by the way, grab your Bibles, take a deep seat and enjoy, and welcome you newcomers.
Amen.
Well, I'd like to say welcome everybody to the first live Bible study on this day.
Yeah, praise the Lord.
Don, would you like to do the prayer first?
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and this opportunity and privilege to be in your house, and study your word, and to learn more about you, to draw closer to you, that have a deeper understanding of who you are and just how great you are. Father, lead us and guide us through your word by your Holy Spirit. And Father, encourage us all to not be just hearers, but doers of the word, that we may glorify you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Proverbs.
I'm going to say that's Bart.
Huh?
Well, the Hume First Baptist Church is on Zoom.
Yeah.
Well, they're right there.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
I can see.
The church is online.
Okay.
First Baptist Church. Yeah,
Love you, Mark.
that's what I thought.
Oh, okay.
Bart, say something. Or hillbillies.
Yeah. Or Ruth.
Or Ruth. Yeah, or Ruth.
Signs on with the church page.
It's Zoom. Whoever I sent the Zoom invite link to.
That's it, Mark.
Bart, yeah, Beard on Me. Bet that's him. Hey, Beard on Me.
Yeah.
Actually, that's Don.
Don, look at there. All
I
right. All we had to do was call him the wrong name. He'd answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be called Bart for anything.
Yeah. You didn't mind Ruth, though.
Right. Yep. And anything but Bart. No. You out there, Bart?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
But you just told the whole internet, though.
Yeah.
That's no.
I was just checking my email and I saw the Zoom invite and I happened to be right here at the computer, so I thought I'd check in.
I'm glad you joined us.
Good deal.
Yeah.
We're around the world.
We are around the world. International. That means we can get kicked out of more countries. I'm just going to shut.
All right.
Take out some of the glare.
Yeah. Okay, I'll read verse 10. My son, keep my words and weigh up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my laws as the apple of thine eye. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman, that they may keep thee from a strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. For at the window of my house I looked through my casement, and beheld among the simple ones a disconcert among the youth, a young man, void of understanding. Passing through the street near her corner, he went the way to her house. And in the twilight, in the evening, in the black, dark night, behold, there met him a woman with the attire of a harlot and a subtle of a heart.
She is loud and defiant. The people never stay at home. Now in the street, now in the square, at every corner she lurks. She took hold of him and kissed him with a brazen face and said, "No."
I have peace offerings with me. Today I have paid my vows, so I came out to meet you. Diligently seeking your face, and I have found you. I have spread my bed with tapestry, colored coverings of Egyptian linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloe, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until morning. Let us delight ourselves with love. For my husband is not at home. He has gone on a journey, a long journey. He has taken a bag of money with him and will come home on the appointed day.
With her much fair speech has she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips, she forced him. And goest after her straightway, and an ox goeth to the slaughter. Or as the fool to the correction of the stocks, to the dark strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Let not thine heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her paths. For she hath cast down many wounds, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, goeth down to the chambers of death.
She's running a brothel.
She's a prostitute.
Well, yeah. Brothel.
Sound like next door to me. You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Lots to say there. There was a gentleman that went home with her.
Well, it's a,
Just a young man.
it's, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Don. I guess we'll let him speak tonight. This is Solomon writing to his kids, probably. I say David, but he had many. Some write to his kids. Watch out for loose women. He's going to say flattering words to you. But she's been with a bunch of other men, much stronger than you, and she's, yeah,
And it's not a matter of strength, it's a matter of
yeah.
knowing God and doing God's will and being able to say no. And I've seen many, this passage is very true about a woman being loud and defiant, wanting to draw attention to themselves. And,
They do.
yeah, and that's the way it works. But the part I like the best about this is the setup for it, and like Mike was talking about. Father speaking to his son, you know, what's the best way? He's either saw this happen or he was one of the victims at one time and got out of it. So we really don't know which.
I would say both.
The idea here is that keeping the commands and you will live. Watching, you know, watch out. I'm trying to get like to read the thing here. Say to wisdom, you are my sister. That's a pretty good thought. And to understanding you are my kinswoman, or you know, in that feminine context. But the idea that wisdom would be with you at a time like that, would it make any difference if you had your sister with you and you was in a situation like that?
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't what?
Make any difference if you actually had a sister with you
Like
that was
that.
gonna watch what you're gonna do and maybe gonna saw what that woman's doing and wants to be like that woman.
My foot would be up her butt. Yeah, ain't gonna happen.
Since the sister here is wisdom, I'm going to flip the picture. Your sister knows what's right. It is going to tell you so, even so much as look that direction.
Yeah.
And that helps you too, but
And probably the woman won't even approach you if your sister's walking right beside you.
yeah, and so but there's a point here. It's,
Yeah.
but out that we need wisdom, that we need understanding, and they need to be with us constantly.
You
And
gotta be on your guard.
you gotta be on your guard. Yes, I agree, and that's what this is talking about.
Yeah. Because I know when I was driving the truck go back to Party Road, and I'll never forget, I was up in Kansas City, just pulled in Petra. This woman was selling her daughters. They was young girl, they knocked on my door, oh, thank you. She's still on the radio. I went inside, I called the sheriff. He finally popped out there. And God, she was prostituting her kids. I could not believe it. Yeah, yeah.
See it right up here. Right there, below state.
Oh, I bet.
But now,
This friend of mine, he was in Korea and probably another country. You can get anything you want in some hotels. And he used to just stay in a hotel. He wasn't messing around, nothing like that. And the Ajima, old lady, this Korean old lady, she just, it's not an insult, it's what they call old ladies and old men, Ajima, Adashi, just calls him, he's like, are you lonely? You want a girl? And he was learning Korean and he's like, no, I want a boy, and hung up. They brought him a boy to the room. Yeah, right to the thing. He's like, get out of here. Are you crazy? You know, he's being funny, but they, yeah,
They took it serious.
it's ridiculous.
That's the same thing in Mexico,
Ridiculous.
along the border, you know that one, Mike.
Yeah. Or worse.
Yeah. Yes. I feel sorry for the woman, the lifestyle she's leading. That's one I feel sorry for. And I feel sorry for him too, for jumping, going through the problem.
Well, let's not kid ourselves about being in Korea or Mexico, it's here.
Oh, yeah.
If you find the right spot, like you're saying, truck stops have been known for a long time.
Goes on bad.
Go to the right, or I should say the wrong hotels in any big city, I bet you can find it.
oh, downtown Kansas City. Then.
Yep.
Another thing about this, so if you ever look into it deep enough, I'm gonna pick on the women of my generation. They do it for free. I guess the easiest way to do it. Say it. Heck, they got all these social media apps. They're putting everything on there that they legally can. With as little as clothes a lot of the time.
Well, they've been told that is what love is.
Yeah.
The whole generation has been told that's how you find the one you're going. That's how you find one.
I'm gonna write something, but don't say it. On the internet, don't say it. This man, he was like, he's got these apps. He's a single guy, so he can do whatever he wants to do. Then he's like, yeah, man, this 20-year-old woman who says she's a millionaire says I'm cute. And I'm like, dude, that's not real. It's completely fake. You know, they're trying to get something out of you. Which I just had to send it, dude. Come on. Yeah. But it's the same thing. It's a different form of prostitution. It's just
After his wife had passed away, a dear friend of mine was on some dating sites. And the moment they asked for money, he decided that he'd have some fun kind of string along, act like he's going to send something and then just cut it. But one of the photos they sent of what they supposedly look like.
Yeah. She'd be 50 years old, and I've seen a 20-year-old picture.
Who said it was a she?
or it's a dude.
Or, yeah,
It's
vice
just a dude.
versa.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of, usually, it's a bunch of people sitting in a small room on different computers, guys, old gals, young gals. Age and gender are irrelevant. The scammers don't care.
You're right.
Let's change it just a little bit, and let's add a modern twist in there and say, why are we doing this in our schools? Why is the administration promoting? We have a lot of trouble here probably, but nonetheless, we got to get into sexual orientation to kindergarten to preschoolers. They have no business with any of this at this point in time. And the idea that you could, where are they going with this idea? We're talking about sexual purity here. Keep yourself pure in this regard. And we're going to have girls taking charge of boys and boys taking charge of girls. And I'm sorry, this just does not compute.
No.
I'm totally against it. I don't know, how to say it nicely, but when we look at what's happening here, what is what we're doing with our kids? Where this is saying, listen, my son, pay attention to me, and now we're saying, oh, you can go to school and pay attention to what they want you to do, and then you get to make your choice out.
That's part of that brainwash system.
Well, where are they going? What are they wanting to do? This is gonna make this look nice.
Yeah, but it's basically the same thing.
They're being pressed.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, a kindergartner has no business on that.
Well, as far as I am, a teenager in junior high and high school, I mean, they'll figure it out for themselves tomorrow.
And another thing you gotta realize about schooling is that realize it can't really change, take us, for example, it can't really change our mindset. Most of us pretty much set in our ways, we know that. They're gonna start on the younger generation, we don't know.
So they're prepping, that's what that's whole rules act. Grooming, yes, okay, I said it wrong, but you're right.
Good word.
Your word.
That is the word. That's
Grooming
grooming.
them for what they want.
Yeah.
And Lord have mercy, watch out, because if this is in here for this part, what would it be like now if we change the thing a little bit and twist it and make it an abomination and get even a greater sense perversion?
Yeah.
Well, even like, Apostle Paul wrote, flee from fornication. Yeah. But it's a sin against your own body.
Yes.
And so as they're looking at this, and probably outside of just staying alive itself, sexual desires are pretty strong. Probably the second most really close to eating and breathing and.
Well, yeah,
things
other
like
than
that.
eating, does come in second. Food comes number one, sex comes number two.
Pretty much. And
Anybody ever see that really horrible movie? It's one of the Marvel movies, Doctor Strange. I've seen Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange. It's a Marvel. I know you haven't seen it. It's rhetorical. You might have seen it. But Doctor Strange, he steals something out of a book. It's not supposed to be in a library. He takes this book and he almost like destroys something. And in the book itself, they actually put the warning label after the spell, basically. So if you read the book, the warning comes afterward, but it's already too late because you've already done this. Now, if you look at this proverb, he tells us how to get out of it first before getting in it. So he gives us a warning at the beginning of this proverb. Keep thy words. Lay out me the commandments. Keep my commandments. Keep my commandments. Bind them upon thy fingers and write them upon the table of thy heart. Read the Bible. Keep this in your head, in your heart, to prevent you from all this stuff that's fixing to happen here. Yeah. But I know once again, it's so easy to say. I've had to say that so many times. How you doing? I know dumb questions. I got the guys got to say dumb questions. I get it.
No,
But it's difficult. That's why I tell people. I'm like, it's easy for me to say that. I'm not the one laying here in this condition. But I'm like, find them, keep them inside your heart.
well, here's another deal too. There's two deaths, an early death. If
Physical.
Ajax, it's not going to wash off. Then when you get on the other side of the curtain, guess what? There's another death. They're going to hell. Because it tells you in the Bible. No hormone.
Satan has any gas into the lake of fire. This is the second.
That's right.
We looked at verses 10 down on 10 plus, and we're looking through there, and we see it's talking about the woman comes out to meet him,
Mhm.
and then we look at verse 13 there, she took hold of him and kissed him. By that time, it's too late.
Yep. Yep.
You can't wait till then. You have to be gone before then. And then when you see what the end result of that was, all at once he called her down to verse 22. You know, there was a point at which it's gone. It's over.
Yeah.
All chance for turning around was pretty much gone by. You've let it go too far. You got in the
Well,
place
as
you
soon as she
shouldn't have been in.
kissed him, he could have walked off.
Well,
But he
you should
didn't.
have never let her get close enough to kiss.
Well, yeah,
Should have never put himself in that position.
exactly.
And I'll tell you, just by reading, like Lee said, 10 down to 20. Pretty much take like verse 17. I had perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon.
That's giveaway right there.
Exactly.
You should run.
Learn your way to it.
Don't do the smell.
I'll never forget. I had to go out to Washington State, Yakima, pick up a load of apples, and was a team driver. And I'm not going to mention his name, but he's gone anyway now. But anyway, middle of the afternoon, we can't load till tomorrow. So he pulls up to the bar. He goes in the bar and says, "You want to go?" And I says, "No, I don't. I'll sit here in the truck." Well, there's a gal there across the street right outside the bar. Well, I'm sitting in the truck, minding my own business. She hollers at me. And I'm green. I mean, real green. And she hollers at me and says, "You want some company?" I thought she wanted to visit.
To talk.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Well, sure. You know, she comes over and she starts talking. Whoa, I think we're on the wrong verb here. I thought you wanted to visit. Oh, no. And she turned around and she laughed. I'm not interested. I'm a married man. And I was married at the time, you know. But like I said, I was green as green can be.
That's not like, I guess my generation, younger generation, or the Netflix and chill. You ain't watching Netflix.
Yeah. But no, all young people, even old people, the older ones know better. The young ones are part like me, green as heck, and don't know what really is going on. You know, 90% of the town nowadays, they've got a pimp. You say the wrong word, all she has to do is to holler. You got a knife in your bullet on the two, and you're gonna be right.
You don't even get a house. You say a certain word.
Yeah, or she'll take care of it. Either way, cut your throat, whatever.
Well, if that was too common, they wouldn't have business there.
That's true.
But going here with the idea of 23 not knowing what the cost of life, that reminds me, I took a speech class in college. It was interesting, to say the least. And for the most part, she said, look, be reasonable, you know the hot topics. There'll be a paper for one of them, but on the rest of the papers, just don't even bother. Write about something, some other form of research, something that you actually want to look into. But when the argument in the paper got here, I'm thinking, okay, this is where I can really just tick somebody off. I won't do a good job of it. Anyway, I made a comparison to back then there weren't quite so many well-known alternative lifestyles, right? But I made it a comparison using government, not Christian or any private organization, government statistics on lifespans based on certain alternative lifestyles. And to be specific in this case, heroin addicts that started in their mid to late teens had roughly the same estimated lifespan as homosexuals that started at the same time. And the teacher chewed me out for making that correlation. I said, it's what the numbers said. I didn't come up with it. It's what the numbers said. Now, to be fair, that correlation was not as clear or as well done as it should have been. But it was an argument in a paper. I was trying to take people off. That correlation shouldn't have been made to just promiscuity in general. Because as rampant as cheating and divorce is in the heterosexual community, at that time, the other statistic was the average amount of marriages for heterosexual couples at that time was like 2.5, 3, somewhere there. Still way too long, way too long. It was like 8 for the homosexual, for lifetime partners, as they called it back then.
Most of them don't.
You go through that many partners, and usually there's more on the side if you're going through that many divorces. It hurts your lifespan.
Well, yeah, but you're not gonna live to be an old man. And especially her, or people like her, I should say, don't live to be an old lady. They're like if they hit 50.
Well, another thing you gotta realize, even on biblical grounds, I know Apostle Paul, or the Corinthians, who wrote on how men won't express, there's a book.
Yeah.
But anyhow, a lot of it has to go down to, at least what I see, self-respect.
Yes.
And a lot of women, they don't look at it where they wasn't brought up like I was, where, oh, I'm gonna wear this skinny little outfit, or however you want to put it, which don't give much room for imagination. See what it looks like.
But just go to the beach and see what's in there.
Don't even have to go that far. I get on Facebook.
Oh, I don't even get on it.
I'm just saying, don't even have to go that far.
We love you, Facebook.
Yeah,
Don't kick me off.
We love you,
I
Instagram.
never forget being
We love you,
alive.
Twitter.
Went back to Jersey to your folks that weekend. Kids were small. We took them to the beach. Got out there. Holy cow. I could not believe what they were wearing.
Have you ever
No,
listened to
no.
Marvin?
Who?
Marvin, he was a Christian singer.
He's good.
He has one of his funnier songs where you just being silly. And he's talking about trying to follow the commands of the Lord.
Right.
And he went out to the beach to get a tan. And he said, I've seen more cotton than an aspirin bottle.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah.
And he said, well, it was clear to me there was only one way for me to please the Lord and get a tan. But I felt so stupid with my big old head stuck in the sand.
Yeah. Oh, that's, and especially nowadays, it's unbelievable. And it's, I don't know what it is, no respect, self-respect.
Well, the thing is, and I think we nailed it, is that they didn't do it right away.
No, it took time.
Slowly. And now it's just,
Yeah, it's blowed up.
Well, that they have taught the whole generation or 2 or 3 now that sex is love.
Yeah.
And that is beauty. That dress or lack thereof is beautiful.
Yeah.
I tell a lot of people, there's a very, very, very thin line between love and lust. And the majority of it, that you see in these newer relationships or even the new marriages, which is why, what was it now, 50% of all marriages end in divorce?
Something like that.
So a lot of them are chasing after lust. They see the flesh and they're like, ooh. Yeah, I know this. I mean, I know it myself.
Yeah, that's what it's telling us here this morning is about. But the main thing that we normally ignore here, and one of the things that we're doing here, we're getting caught up on one side of it, not looking about the prevention.
Yeah.
of wisdom and understanding and what it takes to say no. And in reality, in the world that we live in, freedom to say no to Satan comes only through being saved by Jesus Christ and coming to know him, and that inward dwelling of the Spirit, which is what this is hinting at, or pointing towards, makes a big difference.
Brought us back on track.
Anyhow, we need to look at what it takes. You know, I've been, when I first got to church, and I've been in the world as anybody, so there's nobody, you know, and what you think, but you get into the idea that in certain things, you just, with what you're seeing sometimes in Kansas City or in Hume, it doesn't matter, or Richfield, you have to look the other way.
Yeah,
I find that's still one of the best starts, is don't start.
Yep.
You know, best way to stop it is you see somebody, okay, I don't need to be looking that way. They don't have enough on, and I'm not really attracted, that I really don't want to. There's some things I don't need to know.
Yeah.
Because that's like the scripture says that Satan, we don't need to know his so-called dark secrets.
No.
And so there's certain things we don't need to know about some of these ladies out there too. Even though they're willing to show or willing to tell or do or whatever the case may be. And so it's hard in a great many ways.
Don, you got anything to say? You still with us?
Yeah, he's there.
I know it's easy to get overly focused on.
We'll try it this way. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, I was trying to mute with a space bar, but it didn't work. Anyway, I don't have much to add there. I mean, it's a bunch of warnings, and it's to a young man, but it's also for young men, young adults, middle-aged, old age. You know, it's warnings. Don't go where you don't belong. We know. You know, God puts it in our heart to know really what's right and wrong. And if we're entering into that kind of a situation, we've already almost committed a sin already. You're in deep doo-doo if you start to go hanging out where you shouldn't be. And so, I mean, I agree with what you guys are saying. That's all I got.
Well, how to avoid it may not be simple to do, but it's simple to say, because it only takes 5 verses to instruct people how to avoid it. Most of the rest of the chapter, there's 1 or 2 verses towards the end again that are more towards the avoidance, but the rest of it is the pattern of behavior and the outcome.
Beware of the pattern of behavior. That's a warning also.
Warnings, the rest of it is warnings. Warnings of the pattern of behavior, warnings of the modus operandi, if you want to call it that, and then the final outcome of such activities. But how to avoid it is actually very few words.
Well, I've been in a few, I should say, positions kind of similar. And I'll tell you, personal experience, it is a lot better in the end. Some just walk away. Because, I probably shouldn't tell this story on the internet. But
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and tell it. Back in my wilder days, we'll say, my buddy of mine over in a nearby town used to have parties every Friday, Saturday night. I'd go over there. Well, there's this gal that I kind of liked, and we knew each other pretty well. Anyhow, I remember she wanted to come back to my place after the party. Long story short, if she wasn't at my house, she was going to a friend of mine just right up the road. And we were both completely oblivious to it. So not only do you lose a little bit of your time, you lose a little bit of money. I didn't lose my life over the bill because I'm sitting here now. But you get, how should I kind of wrap the whole thing up? If you're dating or if you're wanting to find someone or anything, make sure she's not going over to your buddy's house.
Well, yeah. That's the first mistake.
But,
Right there, I say adios.
exactly, but, you know,
I'm in Genesis 39. And I'm gonna start reading at verse 11. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business. There was none of the men of the house were there within. And she caught him by his garment. We're talking about Potiphar's wife, his garment, and saying, lie with me. He left his garment in her hand and fled and got out.
Yeah.
You know, I think of a few things. And I know I'm not just picking on women, men are just as bad.
Yeah.
This woman, he went in there was nobody else there. Mistake.
Yeah.
He's been run away from forever. But he ran out of there. Flee sexual temptation. Run. Sometimes, you know, we're idiots. All of us, men and women, we get ourselves in situations where we shouldn't be. Sometimes not on purpose.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just kind of show up like, whoa, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, done.
Just like what I said last week. I don't like to go to anybody's houses if he's gone. I will not go in their house if she's by herself. I won't do it. I'll stand outside. Hey, how you doing? All this stuff. Other than that, I'm out of it. That's respect for her and him. That's just the way I was raised. You don't go into a man's house if he's gone at work or whatever. He's not there.
They keep temptation.
But I know I've been at your house a couple of times. You was gone and hollered at your wife there, but the kids were there.
Yeah.
You know. And you know, back then, they was a lot stricter. The parents raised the kids and taught them better.
Well, at that point in time, it would have been within the law, if the wrong people noticed it, or the right people.
Take you
Yeah,
to outside the
Those
gate.
are the things.
Yeah, got robbed.
Be a little harsh to modern lines of thinking, but
It's just the way it was.
Well, it made it unfortunately acceptable within our society.
Yeah.
It's okay, and sometimes it can be even a sign of, you know,
Maturity.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because I brought up Nevada out there. When I go across there, especially at night, man, the airways are hot. Yeah, I was working at the brothels. They're advertising once you stop in. I just kept on the truck. You know, I ain't got time for this. I don't want nothing to do with it. It's gonna cost you a lot of money for number one. In my case, it cost me a divorce. And I don't want either. I keep like Cecil Basie was the Mennonite. And like he said, back in, keep the pennies in your pocket, the blank in your pants. How true he was.
So what have we learned, internet?
comments?
Hope we didn't make anybody mad, but it is what it is.
We didn't write it.
Not yet.
Well, this is one of the the Proverbs, well, the Bible's quite a few of these places. Proverbs has some places that are very profound, very hard to wrap your head around. And then it's got a lot of these that are really just straightforward. I mean,
Yeah.
we've added our own personal inputs in places, but we really didn't have any great revelations here. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, pretty direct.
Yeah.
Doesn't leave a lot of room for debate or question.
No.
Since we like to pick on vertical differences between like King James, that I mean, if there's not even any real room for debate or question between the different versions.
Yeah. This here is pretty blunt.
They're all pretty blunt.
Yeah. But that's the way I like it. I like blunt. Just tell me like it is.
You just want to put it, I've read from the KJV, I grew up with KJV, and by God, I'm gonna die. I say that, I got all your words.
Research.
We read what we understand.
Yeah.
That's the main purpose of it, is to get it understanding. And, you know, it's foolish to say, well, I could just read the Bible without God's help, without anyone's saying I can understand it all. This is, you know, the word of God is spiritually discerned, and without the spirit, you're gonna mess it up, because I've messed it up a lot of times. But it, you know, that you go back and you're actually looking and you're correcting yourself.
Yeah.
As you understand more, the more you understand, the more you
Well,
correct.
every time you get in there, Don, or with me anyway, I don't know how I missed this. I always pick up something new. Every time.
It's there.
Well, I can. See, King Solomon, if you ever go back to First Proverbs, I don't know who made a comment about David, but Proverbs 1, Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. Solomon had 600 wives, right?
Yeah.
700.
700.
Oh, 300 wives and 700 concubines.
I think it's more than that.
One or the other.
There's a bunch, way too many.
Yeah.
More than that.
But more than one, and he's always talking about the one here. That makes you wonder, but nonetheless, he would,
Well, I do have my own thing, but anyhow,
He had more patience than I have.
I can't even keep one around.
Oh.
I can't match 700. Anyhow.
You don't got the money like King Solomon.
Yeah.
better to live on a corner of the roof than with the quarrelsome wife.
Amen.
Anybody know?
Amen.
I never had a wife. Never had a wife. I had a quarrelsome girlfriend. There's a lot of times I'd rather been on.
That's why you build a garage after you first live in it.
There was a time in my life I lived in a garage.
Yeah, go on.
But anyhow, I guess what I was gonna say was King Solomon wrote this and he had that many wives. And he's sitting there writing. Part of me wants to say this was his own personal experience and he's passed it down to the next
He's
generation.
passing some of these wisdom, he's passing some of his teachings from his mother and father. That would be David and Bathsheba. Which wasn't a perfect relationship either, but there was a lot of wisdom between the two in the end as they understand the loss of the child and the illegitimacy of the child and all the things that went with it. That not cost David his kingdom and his life. And so, That's one of them situations where, yeah, it's difficult to entertain, but when you look at Proverbs and you look at Solomon, especially going to Ecclesiastes, it convicts himself in certain regards.
Depends on what version. I'm not trying to pick on any of the versions. Depends on what version of the Bible you're reading. Because Ecclesiastes is mine. It doesn't say, it says, words of the preacher, son of David, king of Jerusalem. Now, anyone with, common sense would almost say King Solomon, but he never said his name.
I give it to
Son of David, king of Jerusalem, though, limits it to a very.
It does.
One person.
It does. But even
Well,
if there are-
most of the kings call themselves son of David. We call Christ son of David. But it's still a short list.
But you get what I'm saying. And there's been a lot of times people don't really know. But they're reading through Ecclesiastes, it really does point for Solomon.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely so.
It's very heavily towards Solomon in a lot of ways. I haven't really looked in there to see if I can find anything that would be a little more pointed on. Find not been one of the points, but Solomon was a man that in Ecclesiastes, he said, I decided to search out all the matters of pleasure, and I denied myself nothing my eyes saw. And that went for women also. So, we overindulge is what he's saying. And you see things in there, and I'm sitting here. When you get to Song of Solomon, it's about one woman being far better than all the others, and you wonder who of the 1,000 women, which one you drive about. So
Another thing I've always, I said to someone the other day, Proverbs is pretty much a book of warnings. Don't do this. And then Ecclesiastes is the outcome. No, why don't you actually go ahead and do it?
I wonder, I know that Solomon wrote the majority of the Proverbs. Eventually we'll get to a few that weren't his, but they'll say when they'll tell us when we get there. I wonder when in his life he wrote this section. Because you can see in his life where he started off pretty solid and took this big winding detour out into the cow pasture. And after, I know he didn't literally do it, but spiritually he was there beside Nebuchadnezzar eating grass with the oxen there for a little while. I mean, he got way out there. And then towards the end of his life, he came back in. I wonder if this was early before he left, or if this was late after he got back. And not that it really changed anything it said. It doesn't. It's just curiosity.
I'd say one of your younger men,
He still knew better.
yeah, he knew better, but he still sniffed.
Well,
He had this wisdom as a young man.
Yeah,
He just chose to ignore his own.
Well, when he became king, the Lord asked him to ask for something, and he asked for wisdom. So he became, to being already a smart kid, he became a very smart man.
yeah.
Very wise man in that regard. His wisdom surpassed that of all others of that age and probably most ages, and however you want to interpret that. But had great wisdom. Wisdom does not necessarily mean that you always follow it. Knowing something doesn't keep you from doing it.
A friend of mine, he might stumble upon this. Love you, Master Chief. He has a problem with Solomon. He has a problem with people saying he was the wisest person in the world and have like 900 concubines. He said, they don't sound very wise to me. And I'm like, just because you're wise don't mean you're not stupid. Just because you're wise doesn't mean you're not going to sin. Smart people sin. That's what I'm saying. We all sin.
It's that fleshly desire.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, look at Solomon's father.
Yeah.
I mean,
Man after my own heart.
in many ways, the best king of Israel. I mean, you could argue that Solomon was the most powerful.
Right.
But we don't call Christ the son of Saul.
David is the lineage in which the kings are traced. There's a reason for it.
There is.
Yes, he started the kings of the tribe of Judah. So he was the first, and that's probably the main reason, but he was also pretty much, there's none other that they call man after God's own heart. There are some righteous ones, but none other gets that accolade. And he still messed up that bad. And you look at the mess with Bathsheba, you look at the mess with Absalom, his half brother and sister. Yeah. Saved men, saved people get a long way away from God. In a hurry.
Solomon had great wisdom and ability to understand and to come up with solutions to problems such as the decision he made with the two women that paid one baby. But anyhow, not going chasing that rabbit too far, but just looking at the things in which God gave him the ability to make decisions that were good and that would have a good outcome. Because when one of the women said, "No, don't kill the baby," let her have it.
I didn't have.
Someone said, "She's the one that cares about him. That's her child." Whether it was the real mother or not, that was the one that cared for the child. And I'm assuming it was the real mother, but because that's generally the way that would go. But it was the idea of the one that loved the child enough to want to see it live, whether they raised it or not, was the one who grew up. And that kind of wisdom doesn't normally go with our world today, or even the world back then. That was pretty amazing to the people that he had that kind of wisdom to be able to say something that seemed so cruel at first. That child would do, but each one would have.
Next.
Wow. That's pretty shocking, isn't it? This king doesn't mess around. He's going to get right to it. But he didn't say it to kill the child. He said it to save the child.
Yeah.
So looking at, you look at it from different points of view, but I think he had enough wisdom and understanding to say, we'll see who cares for the child, or what cares for the child. And that's probably the real mother. Even in the case of adoptions, and we know what we're talking about here is the person that cares for the child, that is the true parent of that child.
Down to relate.
I understand. And so I'm saying that because we're adopted into the family of God.
Amen.
Yeah. And so we're all adopted children. And for Christians, we're adopted. It's just the way it is. We're adopted. We're drafted in. Wow, praise the Lord for that. I'm glad adoption exists. It exists in that way to show us that it's not a bad idea.
No.
It's a lot better than that,
Yes.
which is our society today.
Yeah.
Kill the child or put it up for adoption. Which would be better.
Adoption.
Is there a question here? There's really not a question because it should be a no-brainer.
Exactly.
Anyhow, knowing what Solomon did in reading this at times kind of makes us question certain things and attributes that as we read here at this point, he seems to be very close to God as he's writing these things. So I think this is early on. I think this is before the drift. And where it talks about in this passage that the young man suddenly went with him. Yeah, that's what happened to him. Temptation overcame.
So that's when I'll argue. That's when I'll argue.
Oh, okay.
One of those things that we can't prove. I would say he wrote it when he was older. Because when you were saying, I wonder when he did this or when he went to that, and I was going to say, well, it probably started around 6 or 7. He was good here. And then he, as you pointed out, I'm going to chase anything I want. I'm going to get. Well, that's right here. So he has already made this mistake. And he's writing the rest of this to warn his son. Don't do what I did. Trust me. Don't do what I did because it's going to lead to all this.
I'm I'm not gonna argue that point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, we don't know. Yeah,
We don't know.
but we'll put it on the list. Now we got 3 things on the list. Ask when we get to heaven. But assuming we remember this, well, we pretty much agree on everything else.
You know what I think's gonna happen with our guests?
Nothing.
Nothing.
When we get to heaven, is that we're gonna be known as much as we
Are allowed to.
know others. We're
Yes.
gonna know others, and we're going to ourselves be known. We won't have to ask questions because we already know.
Right, that's right. Yeah. It's like you said, Gimp slap. Paul's gonna walk behind us. Tell me what are you thinking? I got it, Peter. It's okay. You're right. You're right. That's dumb. Solomon, seriously, when did you write? It's like you guys were about the wrong things. You guys are hilarious. Jesus, I love these guys.
Yeah.
Just putting us in a headlock. Oh, you guys are awesome.
I know it's of no importance, but it is disappointed out of curiosity.
Yeah, it is. That's it. But I think we're gonna see so much stuff that'll be the farthest thing from our mind.
Won't even
Maybe,
remember.
maybe 10,000 years after we die, we'll be like, oh yeah, what were we talking about that day?
What we argue about the other.
We're still gonna be visiting with the others.
That's what
I'm
saying.
just looking at tags.
Yeah.
The idea that
Right.
that Proverbs is forgetting wisdom, that would agree there in chapter 1.
Yeah.
Okay, chapter 2 here says moral benefits of wisdom. So wisdom has moral benefits.
Yep.
According to these, I don't go too much on what I put up here. But then the next thing, chapter 3 is further benefits of wisdom. In other words, wisdom is still the major, their topic. Wisdom is supreme in chapter 4. And warnings against idolatry, which is the wisdom. Now we're starting to get into the warning system.
So none of your thingies match anything in my.
Oh, no.
They say something completely different. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
It made play footsie. But it need play footsie.
as my legs get so stiff at times, I stick them out in everybody's way, so I just stuck out there on the side of the page.
This is an old enough one for you.
I could read that.
Bring
Yeah,
a
that's small.
microscope.
About to say.
Yeah, I could read it. It would hurt. It would hurt my eyes.
I can see the.
The only difference between that one and this one, it does have all the little tags on it. for How you're supposed to pronounce it.
But,
I never knew what that meant. And they never put that in here, though.
I know. Right.
No, y'all.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all's in the Bible.
That's right.
Y'all is in the Bible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see a thing on this. I get amazed sometimes because most people I work with are older. Let's just face the fact, like old, and they have a Bible like this. Well, hold on, let me look it up. I'm like, how can you see that? Almost like twice that size. I'm like, already in super extra large print. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, oh, yeah, you can keep that. I'm not even open one of the little books. Yeah, who was it? It was either Kennedy or Kennedy, one of the two. They brought their Bible in, and I'm looking at that like, is that just Old Testament there? That's the whole Bible. I'm like, oh, I can't even. I'll trust you. Open up, like, actually, that's so tiny.
Well, I've had some things that were just a little bitty thing you put in your pocket that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Proverbs, Psalms, and New Testament,
Yeah.
maybe just Proverbs and New
Yeah.
Testament, had different combinations. but
I
very
carried
small.
one of them in my lunchbox until I retired.
Those are good things.
This one's old enough, still has the pictures.
What's the copyright date? That's what I was looking for, a copyright date.
Copyright? I have no
Yeah.
idea. It's my dad's Bible.
I've got one that's a lot like that. And it's a little smaller.
This one is 74.
It has pictures.
Whenever they came out, so pronounced.
Pardon me. Like,
That's the year I retired.
74. I was 3 years
So I
old.
mean, yeah, graduated out of school.
I was 3 years old.
Was it?
I gotta make it feel old. I was 3
Okay, might
That's
not.
what I hear some people like, we're married 74 years, and I'm only 50.
And I did have to ask some questions, because whoever gave the Bible, that First Corinthians 11, 14 through 15. That's not for James's. He's done passed on, so I inherited his Bible.
So we started this tradition that everybody got a Bible, King James, of course, and we write their name and stuff in it. This is your,
That's what my Creek does. You get baptized into the church, they automatically give you a Bible.
I just, for our kids, they all got the same,
Oh, well, that's
the King James hardcover. It lasts a little longer. There's some Bibles in the office there at the Methodist Church. So I take one look at it and I'm like, I can't even touch it because I'm destroying it. It's so old. And then they just set it right back in that little container.
Yeah, one of those, in the Baptist church was very old and it's caked in, some big pictures and all that. There's family that one that we got, but.
Yeah, but I'm fixing you just say
I
goodbye.
never knew, but we're pretty much long down.
Yeah. We're looking at updates on what these
When I-
Bibles.
Yeah.
See y'all.
Once again.
Hope you enjoyed.